Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present Girls vs. Ghost Media's Spooky Talk with Madison Smith from Madison Paranormal. Spooky Talk. You can find Spooky Talk every other Sunday, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, right here live on Paranormal Buzz Radio. Be sure to join in the live interactive chat by going to Spreaker.com or downloading the Spreaker app for all devices.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host, Madison Smith.
Hi everyone, I am Madison Smith. I'd like to welcome you all to Spooky Talk with Maddie. Tonight's guest is someone I met about 2 years ago at a small con in Matin, Illinois, also called Clinton. So we chatted a little bit, and then this past May I was invited to his haunted location to be part of a kids event he holds twice a year. So with that said, I would love to introduce you, the owner of Ashmore Estate, and the original Mystery Machine, Mr. Robbin Terry. Welcome to Spooky Talk.
Hey, Maddie, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Should be glad.
Yeah, no problem. I'm very excited.
You don't sound so excited. I mean, I can tell you're not smiling, but that's not unusual.
Actually, I am smiling, so... Whoa, guys. Whoa. Stop it. Alright. So, shall we begin with you telling us a little bit about yourself and where people can find you, social media, etc.?
Oh, okay. As you said, my name is Robbin Terry. I'm a own an insurance agency. We specialize in collection car insurance. I'm a volunteer EMT with our local volunteer fire department in Auburn, Illinois. I'm also a member of I'm a trustee for the fire department. And then owning Ashmore Estates, I also work with Rhodes Hotel quite a bit, help out somewhat as they needed in Cheney Mansion, another location, and on the Mystery Machine, as you mentioned. And, you know, just enjoy doing things like the paranormal and helping out with Lost Rooms Foundation and stuff like that. So that's kind of about me. As far as finding me, you can find me on social media. It's on Twitter, Facebook. I've kind of done the Instagram thing. I don't do it a whole lot, but I'm trying to do more. I started a TikTok for Ashmore State because one of my tour guides wanted to do that. So it's on her. She does all that. I should run out of time, honestly, with doing some of that stuff. But try to do as much as possible. Website, ashmorestate.net. That's pretty much it.
Well, there's where you can find him at and everything. A little bit about himself. There you go. All right. So, shall we begin?
Let's do it.
All right. So, the first question of the night, how did you get into the paranormal field, and, like, how old were you when you did get into it?
You know, everybody always talks about that, and when people ask that question, they're like, I had my first experience when I was 4 and 5 years old and all that stuff, and it's like, no, that doesn't work like that. You know, people don't continuously stay in the paranormal since they're 5 years old, but I actually started about 15 years ago. I had a couple of friends that wanted to investigate a building that I owned, the Art Theater in Auburn, Illinois, which actually is our house. We built a house inside a movie theater. And they asked if they could investigate it, and I said, yeah, sure, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. And they called me back, and so they were done and told me, hey, it was a cool place, we had a lot of fun, but we really didn't get anything. I'm like, all right. So they called me about a week or so later and said, hey, we ran across some EVPs that we think you need to hear. And so they brought it in. They had about 6 or 8 different EVPs they caught in the building that night. And I was kind of fascinated with what they did. I'm like, this is kind of cool. I want to get involved. So I kind of jumped in with both feet with them, buying a ton of equipment to help out and do some things. And, that's pretty much how it started, doing it. It's like, if I wanted to give you the typical answer, I could say I've been doing it since 13 because I started watching Scooby-Doo then. And that was, all about all about ghosts. So, but the real answer is about 15 years ago.
Well, that's very interesting. So, was there anything that happened during your childhood, like spiritually? Like, was your household haunted or anything? Or?
No, I remember when I was like 16, my grandmother died when I was right at 16 years of age, and maybe actually a little over. I was 18. I was 18 when my grandmother died, and I always kind of felt that she was around and with me when I did things, and things kind of popped up like that. But I really didn't pay a lot of attention to it because at that point I didn't really know how to do anything with the paranormal. And you got to remember, when I was 18, it was like, when Pluto was a pup. It was a few years back. So, but it was just kind of one of those weird experiences that you come across that, you just feel like somebody's there with you. And it kind of stuck with me. But I didn't have anything, no life-changing experience when I was a younger person at all.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then Scooby-Doo. What's your favorite episode or movie from Scooby-Doo? Like, just the franchise.
Oh, I don't know that I actually have a favorite. I kind of like the original ones back when they Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Those were, they were the ones that I really enjoyed more than anything. In fact, last weekend I was up in Grand Rapids, Michigan with the Comic-Con, and it was kind of cool because some 10-year-old kid came over and was taking pictures with Mystery Machines, and he said, I've watched almost all the Scooby-Doo episodes, and I still think the first ones were the best. So hearing from a 10-year-old, something like that, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Like, personally, I agree with that. The older ones are the best. Like, I grew up on Scooby-Doo as well, so,
And it's still out there. It's still going strong today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recently rewatched, what is it? Mystery Incorporated, and then the other one. It's Stay Cool Scooby-Doo or something. Or
okay.
What's New Scooby-Doo? I think.
Right. Yeah, I think that came out. I forget the years that came out, but something along that. A little later. But Scrappy-Doo was almost like the demise of Scooby-Doo. Scrappy kind of got involved with the cartoons, and he just didn't fit right. People kind of didn't like him in there, and they kind of quit watching him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then wasn't it a thing like in the older movies, like the Boo Brothers episode or the movie? I can't remember if it was an episode or a movie, but it was just Shaggy and Scooby, and then Scrappy, I think, and then Shaggy had like a red shirt.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was. It's been a while since I've watched most of them. Honestly, I keep so busy today, with current times as far as doing things that I don't get a chance to sit and watch TV much or any of that stuff. So It's usually like driving home tonight. It's a 2-hour trip home, so it keeps me busy pretty much round the clock. Sometimes it seems like.
Yeah, that's understandable. So, what made you decide that you needed the Mystery Machine in your life? Like, when did you just look at it and be like, you know what? That's a great purchase. Let's get it.
Actually, that's what I did. But I had it. had a friend who, I collect cars. I enjoy collector cars, and so I've got a few cars of my own. And I had a friend of mine who was really into Scooby-Doo a lot. And she's like, I had a 61 Corvair van, and she said, you should paint your Corvair to make it look like the Mystery Machine. Like, the Mystery Machine wasn't a window van. The Corvair is a window van. It won't look right. And I said, no. And she's like, well, then paint your bus. And I'm like, no, I'm not painting my bus. I said, it looks worse. So I went on eBay and was looking for like a die cast of the Mystery Machine. I was going to buy her. And say, here's your own Mystery Machine. Leave it alone. And while I was looking for them, I couldn't find anything the right size. But I came across this one, the van, the Mystery Machine, and I looked at the listing, and the listing was just, it was pathetic. I mean, it was like some, a third grader could have done a better job of writing the listing for this van. And I contacted the guy and said, does this even run? And he's like, oh yeah, it runs fine. He's like, it came from Little Car Museum. They did a Hollywood car auction, and I bought it from them. I'm like, okay, so I checked it out a little bit, and I said, let me call you tomorrow. So I called him the next day, and I said, start talking a little bit about it. And he's like, what do you do with it? I said, well, I do a lot of stuff to help children's charities. I said, so we're going to use it at a lot of conventions to try to fundraise and all for children. And I said, I'm also doing paranormal investigations. I said, I think it'd be kind of cool to drive up and do paranormal investigations with that. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's great. He's like, did you just buy it? I'm like, no. Why? I said, why? He said, well, somebody just hit to buy it now on eBay. I'm like, no, it ended last night. And yeah, but I relisted it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So he said, yeah. He said, but this guy never reached out to me, so I don't know if he's even legit. So I said, well, here, if you cancel the bid, I'll buy it from you. And so I told him, I said, just click here, and I had to explain to him how to cancel the bid. And he did, so I ended up buying it from him, and it sent from Seattle, Washington area, back to Auburn, Illinois.
So, did he know that it was like the actual Mystery Machine, or was like?
Yeah, no, he knew it was. In fact, he sent me the documentation. We have documentation from Hanna-Barbera Studios when they had it worked on back in the 70s. It had some work done to the engine and things like that, and so we've got all the receipts and everything from Hanna-Barbera. And then I found out that there was a George Barris who did a lot of the like Ecto One and the Beverly Hillbillies car, Batmobile, and quite a few other ones. He did some work on this, and I contacted George Barris' son because George had passed, and I said something to him about it. He's like, oh yeah, we had that in the shop. He said, Dad didn't do it originally. He said, it was done by the studio, but they rented it out in Hollywood, and they brought it back in and had it fixed, and we did the work on it. So being in George Barris' shop is just iconic, to have that van in his shop. I mean, the guy is like on a pedestal as far as collection type vehicles and custom vehicles. There was nobody better. And so, yeah, it was great to see that it was in George's shop.
That's cool. So, another question, not about the Mystery Machine, but about Ashmore, right? What made you decide that you wanted to get Ashmore?
I'm kind of an impulse buyer sometimes, and that's kind of how I got into the Mystery Machine. And with Ashmore, I had a guy contact me. I used to run a haunted house, and we did it for like 10 years, and we decided to get out of it. And so we were going to sell all of our props. And that guy contacted me and said, hey, he said, I'd like to buy some of those props you're selling. I said, all right, come on by and take a look at everything. And so he came over and he picked out a ton of stuff. And I said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm opening the new haunted house. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's like, well, I own one now, but I'm gonna get rid of that one. He's like, I'm going over to Indiana and open up in there because of some Illinois laws. I can't work with them. I said, all right. I said, which one did you own? And he's like Ashmore Estates. And I said, well, that's cool. I said, I know the former owner of Ashmore. I said, I've been over there before. I've investigated before. It's a cool location, but they just had way too many people there when I was there. And I said, what are you going to do with it? And he said, I'm going to sell it. And I'm like, oh. And my wife's like, oh, crap. And I said, so I told the guy, I said, any chance I can go and take a look at it before you decide to sell it? And he said, yeah. So I went over on Saturday before Easter Sunday and walked in the place, and the place was a disaster. There was no roof, no windows, no water, no electricity, no bathroom. It was just in bad shape, and it had been mistreated for so long. And so I talked to him and said, if you're interested in selling it, I'd be interested in buying it. And, but we're going to work something out with everything. And so we put it all together, worked out the numbers, and made it work. And so I bought it, and I think it was May 4th of 2014 when I bought the place.
So, what are the coolest experiences that you've had in Ashmore since you've gotten it?
The coolest experience is obviously meeting you there. So, but the second coolest would be probably meeting a lot of people there. I mean, it's fun to go there and talk to people, and you meet people that have a lot of experiences and all, and that's what makes me happy with everything. And honestly, that's why I do it. As far as personal experiences there, I've been up on the third floor hooking up electrical back in May of 2014, and there was something up there, and I should preface this by saying I'm about as sensitive as a rock. In other words, I mean, nothing gets to me. I don't hear things. I don't see things. It's just kind of weird sometimes. But there was something that day that it didn't want me in the building. And it kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And finally, it was probably 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon. I said, all right, fine. If you don't want me here, I'm leaving. I'll just go. And if you guys have a party, I'm not invited. That's cool. I'll just take off, and I'll be back later. And so I left and went down and headed down to pick up some material at the lumber store and called my wife and told her what I was doing. She's like, why are you doing it now? And I said, well, there's something in the building that just didn't want me there today. And so I figured I'd just take off for a little while and come back later. And, since that happened, it never happened again. And that was kind of one of the more personal experiences I had. But I've heard voices in there throughout the day. And the daytime investigations are brilliant when I've had most of my evidence there. Honestly, that's when I've only been there basically to do things during the day. I'm not usually, around there too much at night because if I'm there, I'm working. And so I don't usually work at night because there's groups in there. But I've heard a lot of voices during the day. I've seen some shadow figures at night and some things like that. But it's an interesting place. It doesn't bother me. I go in there, pitch black at night. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm the only one in the building. But you can definitely hear some voices every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. And who are some of the people that still reside there? Like the names and if you know their backstories, I'd like to hear it.
Sure. We feel that Joe Buxom is still there. Joe was the kind of like the caretaker of the property. Joe was mentally challenged adult, and he lived there with his mother. And I forget the exact dates offhand what it was. It was probably closer to the early 1900s when he was there. And so they had him basically taking care of the landscaping there, and he took care of a lot of the maintenance type situations and stuff like that. So Joe's one that people have a lot of tendency to hear from, we think, and especially in the boiler room and the shop area in the back. It seems like he doesn't like people there, especially women. He doesn't like women there at all. And so as far as knowing for sure it's Joe, I don't, but we just kind of feel from the past history with Joe that that's probably who it is. The other most prevalent spirit that we've had situations with in the building would be Elvis Skinner. Elva died just short of her 5th birthday, but she died in the original building that was on the property. And her dress caught fire, when she was getting ready for breakfast, and she perished from the results from the burns from that fire. And so it was in the original building. The building then was in the about 18, or it was originally she died about 1885 or so. I don't memorize the exact date, but it was like when she died in that original building, then the state came in about 30 years later and said, this building's in bad shape. They said, because of that fire, but it was 30 years before they ever did anything. And a lady came in, which actually I think is kind of cool if you stop and think about it, because in most cases, women in the 1900s were not really in power positions. I mean, they weren't in situations where they could come in and make changes in the world, so to speak. And so, but this woman came in and told the county, tear the place down and rebuild a new one because this is bad. They said that the animals in the building, the animals in the stable and everything actually had better living conditions than the people in the building. And so they tore it down. But Elba died in that building. They tore it down, put a new one up. But we think she's still there today. And in the new building, and because it was on the same ground. I mean, they built it basically in the same footprint. And we kind of know it's Elba because there was like a 7-year-old girl that lived down the street, and she was always having experiences late night, early morning with somebody from Ashmore, and she'd tell her mom about it. And her mom asked her what her name was one day, and she said she couldn't pronounce it, but it started with an E. And it was just weird because she knew things that went on in that building that there's no way she should know because she'd never been in the building. But she knew, like, for instance, we put Christmas lights up. She knew we had Christmas lights in the building, and they were out of town. Her mom called me and said, we've been out of town all weekend. Autumn tells me you guys put Christmas lights up. Like, yeah, we did. And she said, yeah, because her friend came down here and told her from Ashmore that you guys put Christmas lights up. So there's a lot of experiences like that. It's just weird that she would know about stuff that there's no way she should.
So, sorry, that's like, So, why do you think the little girl from Ashmore would go to her? Do you think it's like an age thing or just...
I think it's probably kind of an age thing, and that she lived in the neighborhood, and it was a chance for her to go and visit somebody about her same age. I think she looked a lot like Elba. She had long blonde hair, and just like we think Elba did. And so I think there was a lot of similarities between them, other than a 2-year difference in age. But I think it was a chance to have a friend, especially somebody that she could basically respond to and talk with, other than maybe the spiritual ones in the building.
That makes sense. And then, let's see. Wasn't there an animal spirit, or is that a different place?
Yeah, we've had a lot of people that tell us they've had, in fact, somebody mentioned it even last night, especially with cats. They've had cat situations in there. We've had other people that have told us they had dogs. Elva, we know, had a dog, and I've got one group that came in and let me hear it. They caught an EVP that said, "Do you want to play with my puppy?" And it was, just kind of interesting that they came up with that, and that the people that talked about the dog spirits in the building also. We've had people that brought dogs in the building. Sometimes the dogs will go up one set of stairs, but they won't go both of them. And so I'm not sure if that makes a difference or not, but it's kind of weird. But yeah, I think there's some animal spirits that live inside the building.
All right. So, in your opinion, what's the coolest place in the building?
I don't know that there's one spot that's necessarily any cooler than another, but I think the boiler room draws a lot of attention. I kind of like even the team rooms, because there's a lot of times we've had experiences in the team rooms a lot, and a lot of people don't pay any attention to it. They just go in there because they think that's like the safe zone, so they go in there to sit and wait and everything. And yeah, we've had a lot of experiences in that area.
All right. I'm just trying to think of questions. Sorry, I'm like, If any of the people in the comments have questions, feel free. It's kind of brain dead right now. Who knows? Okay. So, what's the coolest experiences that people have come to you with?
I always kind of reluctant to, I don't want to say believe, but some people have some experiences that are just totally off the wall. And for me to sit there and say, yep, there's no doubt that happened, I can't do it. But I mean, I had somebody tell me one time that we have a mannequin on the second floor that they said they saw the mannequin walk across the floor. And I don't know that ever happened. I do know Nick Groff, when they were out there, they had a tricycle that on videotape that they watched the pedals move. And it moved it wasn't far, it just moved about a quarter of a turn. But they, in fact, when they were recording it, he's like, did you just see that? The tricycle moved. And he's like, I got it on tape. So, and he did. It was kind of cool that they see this happen. So, that when I saw the tape, there's no doubt in my mind about it that it happened. It was real. And but yeah, there's a lot of different experiences that people have had that are a little bizarre, and I don't know that they're actually factual, but they seem to believe it. We get a lot of pictures. I'm horrible as far as when it comes to people sending me pictures and telling them that it's exactly what they think it is, because if I can debunk it, I'm going to do it. And we had one not too long ago, just 2-3 months ago, that was a great picture, and I thought it was, I thought this was fantastic, and it turns out that it was just the mortar on the wall the way it looked. And so I sent the girl a note. I said, I really wish this was real, but it was the mortar on the wall that's what the issue was.
That's like the worst feeling, like when you get something perfect and then it's debunkable.
Oh, I know it. I've had people that when I tell them stuff, that, they ask me, like, what do you think of this? And I give them my honest opinion. This is what it is. And they're like, well, I don't think you're right. I'm like, well, then why did you even bother to ask me? If you ask my opinion, I can give you my opinion. If you don't think I'm right, that's fine. But, I know that you're not right. So I had a good friend of mine who saw what he said he thought was a figure on the wall, standing there. And I said, no, that's the paint. I said, I'm real familiar with that room. That's the paint on the wall. He's like, I don't think so. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. So I took a picture with it one time and sent it to him. And he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. That is the paint on the wall. And when you can debunk certain things, you just do it. I mean, that's the right way to do it.
Do you have like a bucket list of like places you want to go?
Oh, I keep so busy sometimes, and I never even think about it. Places to go. I think there's some that pop up every once in a while that I'm one that really likes to see the places and more of the history. I don't need to go out and stay till 3 o'clock in the morning. I would like to investigate things, but I'm kind of one of those that would rather do stuff when the area was active. I think Alcatraz would be a fun place to go. I'd like to do that sometime. You can't do it, but the White House would be cool. I think that would be a fun place. In Springfield, Illinois, which is like 50 miles from me, Lincoln's home. I think that would be a fun place to go. That I think would be a lot of fun. I think a good time to do it.
Yeah. And then, have spirits from Ashmore ever followed you somewhere?
I don't really think that. Not that I know of myself. I've had friends of mine have told me they're psychic mediums that you have an entourage of people following you around everywhere. And, so maybe they do, but we've actually had one particular spirit that followed us because of a piece of equipment I bought, not equipment, but a piece of furniture I bought. And that spirit followed us home and still stays there every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. And you're like okay with this, or?
Well, not really okay with it, but I'm one of those that is skeptical about that you can tell spirits that they have to leave and they will. I think you can ask them and they will, they do, but I don't know that you can't force them as far as I'm concerned to leave. And I'm also one that believes that you can't have somebody come in and cleanse the house. And I just don't see how that can work. And then you come in and tell the spirits you all have to leave, you can't be here, and bang, they're all gone. I don't see how that can work.
Yeah. Okay.
The spirit that's there in our building, it's an interesting story in itself, and you may not recognize the person. Your mom and dad will, definitely. But I bought an armoire, a piece of furniture that's kind of like a wardrobe cabinet. I bought an armoire from a lady up in Chicago once. She had a vacation home in Petersburg, Illinois, which is about 2 hours from Chicago, something like that, 3 hours. And bought this armoire, brought it home, redid it, and just refurnished it, refinished everything, opened it up, cleaned the inside out, refinished the inside, refinished the outside, took it upstairs. When I got it, it was wide open, and when I got it upstairs, it locked, and I couldn't get it unlocked. And to this day, I still can't get it unlocked. I thought that the little lock probably fell sideways, and it got stuck in there. So I took a little rubber mallet, because I don't want to mess the cabinet up, and tried to knock it out of there, and I couldn't do it. I took a screwdriver, tried to knock it out, loosen it up. Couldn't do it, and so I was just like, forget it. I'm not going to just leave it locked. I'm not going to mess with it. Well, we had as I call it newbie nights. I had like 10 or 12 people came over one night to investigate. There's a theater that we own, and they had never investigated before, so I thought this is a good chance for them to do this. So that's what we did. Well, when we went back, and we like to listen as we get done. We'll go through like 45 minutes and walk through, give the history, the location, everything. Then we go back to listen to the headphones about what happened. And when we did that, 3 friends of mine who are psychic mediums said, "Hey, we're going to want to do the building, see what we come up with and everything." I'm like, "That's cool." So they took off, and it was probably an hour later. I came over and told my wife, I said, hey, we got to get going. I said, "These people, we're going to go back and investigate." And she's like, "Okay, we'll be there in a minute." I said, "Well, we need to hurry up." She's like, "We'll be there in a minute." So she came in, and they got done. They walked in. I said, "What's going on?" She said, "I'll tell you later." I'm like, "Oh, really? What's going on?" She's like, "I'll tell you later." And like, wow, it was she was really blunt. She said, "You did not like that." So we went through the whole night, and I couldn't get done fast enough because I wanted to know what the heck was going on. And we got done. The psychic medium actually, when they went to the building, they started picking up on different stuff. Picking up on a song, "It Ain't Me," by Creasy Clearwater, and what and then they picked up on digging, and then they picked up on ghosts. I mean, not ghosts, but they picked up on clowns. And as they go through our basement, they picked up on a jail cell and all kinds of stuff. And they were sitting in our theater room there at the building. And one of the psychics told Norma, "I don't want to alarm you, but John Wayne Gacy is standing right behind you." And if you don't know who John Wayne Gacy is, it's serially like Beach Boys back in the 80s. And they finally put him to death in like 92, I think it was, when they put a needle in his arm and executed him. But he had made an appearance in our building. And they were like, "What the heck is John Wayne Gacy here for?" Well, my wife, when she was in college, her roommate was the sister of one of his victims. And then two of the guys that were there that night were also involved with prison. And that armoire I was telling you about, that was owned by the attorney that represented Casey. She used to keep paintings that he did for her while he was in prison in that armoire. So it's been kind of a strange situation when you've got John Lee Casey wandering around inside your building at times, and we've had numerous people even know anything about. Brad Klink came up and did a documentary on the ghost of John Lee Casey in our building, and it's out there on Prime Time or Amazon Prime. You can see it there. You can go to everydayparanormal.com and you can watch the episode there. But it's a killer coincidence, and it's kind of a bizarre thing talking about John Lee Casey being in your building.
Well. Just well.
So that's my strangest paranormal experience is having to deal with a serial killer that comes and resides in our building at times.
So, how many times have people communicated with him? Was it just a one-time thing, or is it recurring?
Well, we don't really let anybody investigate anymore in the building. We've had the problem we ran into is people would come in and they want to try to communicate with Casey. Well, every time they did, I'm starting to run into problems, and I shouldn't say every time. About 75% of the time they did that, my heart went into AFib, which is a irregular rhythm, heart rhythm, and it's not good. It's kind of like all over the border and all over the place. And sometimes people have to go to the hospital for it. I've learned how to adjust with it, but at the same time, I've been in the hospital a couple times during investigation, because of the situation. So we don't let people investigate anymore. When they had experiences there, and they told us about it, we've had a couple different psychics that had experiences there and seen John Lee Casey in the building that knew nothing about it. And so we kind of wandered around a little bit with them. But so we really don't do any more investigations there, just to do basically for my own personal health situation. And we just stopped doing it. We were never really charging. We were charging money, but we donated 100% of that to the Lost Souls Foundation. We didn't want any money to get in our building. We weren't going to try to basically make money off people investigating our house.
And if you want, you can talk more about the Lost Limb Foundation. Promote it, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, Lost Limb Foundation was started by a friend of mine, Mike Couch. Mike's also, Lost Limb Foundation also owns Rhodes Hotel. Rhodes Hotel was, that location came up for sale, and I talked to Mike about the charity owning it, and he said the charity can't afford it, and so on. And well, let's work out a deal so that I can help charity by buying that, by Rhodes Hotel, and then you can just pay me back the money that you raised during the investigation. So that's what we did. The Lost Limbs help the amputee children. They enter 18 years of age. If there's amputee children, they also help situations where, one of the ones that he did not too long ago was help a child that had lost an eye, and the guy's insurance company wasn't going to pay for the prosthetic eye, and so Mike went ahead and took care of that for him, and took care of getting the eye for him, so he didn't have to worry about wearing a patch or just the covering or something over that eye, and they've done that. But so if anybody has or knows anybody that that needs help from a prosthetic type situation, as a young adult, be sure to get a hold of Lost Limbs Foundation and lostlimbsfoundation.org, or contact Mike Couch at Mike Couch at lostlimbsfoundation.org, and he can help you out. But we do a lot of stuff with that. The Kids Day that you attended this year, we donate every penny that comes into that, we donate to Los Angeles Foundation, help those kids. And we do some other stuff. I'll have a birthday deal going on sometime here in the next few weeks that we raise money to help Los Angeles Foundation, and it's got to be kind of a big deal. Like last year, we raised about $8,000, and we just did it on Facebook, and it's the typical birthday deal. But we've had some things donated. We've had personal items donated. We've had trips donated, like to go to different locations, things like that. And for everybody donates $5, their name goes in the hat, and then we draw. Like last year we did it on Christmas Day. We'll probably do something like that again this year. And we drew names out of the hat, and basically just give away items. And it's been fun. It's been a good deal, and it's raised a lot of money. So we're definitely doing it again this year.
Well, it's good that you're helping people, and other people are getting helped here. I mean, it's very, very nice.
So, yeah, it's something that I think everybody likes to do certain things and help with certain charities. Just got to find one. I used to do a lot with another charity, and I kind of switched guns just because it was more fun to be involved with the charity when you know the person that runs the charity, and he's got kind of like the same mindset and all that you have, and enjoys doing it. So that's why I decided to go do things with Lost Lives.
All right. And for people who want to, is there a way that people can donate? Like...
Yep. Oh, sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. You can go to his website at lostlimesfoundation.org, and he's got a button set up on the website that you can donate right there to it. I mean, that's not a problem. It is a 501c3, so it's a not-for-profit charity, which allows people to take any donation they make off their tax-deductible donation. So they are tax-deductible as well. So you can help out the charity and feel good about it, and also helps out that you can deduct that from your taxes and all.
All right. And then Shay also wants to ask in the comments, what was his first experience at Ashmore?
Oh, my first experience at Ashmore was, I was out there in 2013 before I owned it, and we heard some voices and all then, but it kind of blew it off because there were so many people in the building you didn't know really, if it was somebody live or somebody from past experience. My first experience was probably the time when I left the building because there was something there that didn't want me there. That was probably the first experience I had there. But then there's been numerous, voices heard a lot, and we were working in the building and all. So those experiences happened like every time we were out there for like the first couple months.
Yeah. And then, isn't there a graveyard near Ashmore? Like, you have to drive down this dirt road, and then there's a witch's grave, supposedly.
Well, there's the Coles County Ford Farm Cemetery is directly across the building from Ashmore State. It's about a mile out in the wooded area. And the only way to really get there is basically by four-wheeler. It's out in the middle of a farm field, and the guy who owns it is kind of all grown up around there. He really won't even let anybody on that property anymore. The other cemetery you're talking about is Omar Cemetery, which is notoriously known for the witch's grave, but that story is really not factual in that the family says that that basically that was just all fabricated, that the tombstone that's on the grave there, and I forget her name offhand, but she died on the last day of February. And the person back in the 1800s that did the tombstone for her didn't realize that not every day, every month of the year didn't have 31 days. And so he just put down February 31st was her date of death because it was the last day of February. As far as he's concerned, that was the 31st. But, you know, the fable goes on, the tale goes on that there was a witch from that was buried out there and said that she was going to come back on the date of her death, on the anniversary of her death, you know, on the town. And so supposedly the town said that we'll put down date of death as February 31st. That way she can't come back and haunt us. So it's really not true, but who knows?
It's really interesting to hear like both parts. Like,
yeah, I think so too, because you don't know which one is really factual.
mm-hmm. And then, what's been your favorite place to go to? Like, out of all the places that you've been?
Oh, I enjoy going to Ashmore because I always feel so comfortable there. But other than places like that I own, let's see. You know, Cheney Mansion is probably one of my favorite places to go. Cheney's one that you can live in tomorrow. I mean, it's a great place. It's a beautiful location, and it's just kind of a fun place to go to and just sit back and kind of think about what it was like was back in the 1800s in this gorgeous location when people lived there. So probably Cheney and Jerseyville.
And then, has there been a location where you just walked into it not thinking that it's haunted, but turns out it actually is?
That I didn't think was haunted?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't think of any place offhand that. I mean, there's a couple of locations I've been to that I've never had experiences, but everybody else has. So, you know, I don't know that those are. I never. If somebody tells me a location's haunted, okay. I think it depends on the person investigating, time of the day, the whole climate situation, everything. I think it all depends. There's a lot of factors that goes into it, and I think just because it's haunted for one person doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be haunted for the next person. And or they're not going to have experiences, or they're not going to catch evidence. So, I mean, I had people come out to Ashmore that tell me, yeah, we didn't get anything at all, but they were out there for like 3 hours, and all they did was goof it off the entire time. And it's like, well, no wonder. You didn't take what you're doing seriously whatsoever. Why would the person ability take you serious? And I think there's other people that can investigate it, did a nice job of things, and have a lot of experiences. So I think a lot of it just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of it does, depend on the person. And then, if I'm thinking correct, there was, a bunch of, toys scattered throughout the building, right?
What about toys?
They've been scattered throughout the building.
Oh, yeah, there's tons of toys in that building. And, there's people bringing things in there all the time. And, I talked about it earlier, but Autumn, the little girl that lives down the street from us, that Elva would supposedly go visit, she said that there was a doll in the building, and she told us that there's a doll in the building, and Elva doesn't know where it's at. She can't find it. Somebody took her doll. And I know the doll they're talking about, and we can't find it. I don't know where it is. I don't know if somebody took it or what, but this one particular doll that Autumn was telling me about that Elva was missing, I know that doll. It is not in the building. I'm not sure where it's at. So I think when people bring toys in, if they leave them, it's kind of sad when somebody else will come in and take it, out of the building. I think a lot of times they think, oh, it's a haunted doll. We're going to take it and sell it on eBay or something. And it's no, this belonged to this spirit child. She really liked that doll. That was the one she enjoyed. and they take it away from her now.
Some people.
Yep, you don't know who to trust and not trust anymore.
One day I'm going to come back down there with a doll. Might not be as good as the one that she once had, but hey. It's an attempt.
I think if you bring it down and you're sincere, which I know you would be, that you bring it down to leave for her, I think that makes a big difference. Somebody just brings the doll in, it's like, here, about this here for the kids. I think that's like a token wish, hoping you get experiences or something. But you bring one down and say, this was for Elva, I'm going to leave this here, hope you enjoy it, something like that. Really good chance, I think, that she'll get a response.
Yeah. But still, it's so messed up that people will take things, and I know this other place, there was a teddy bear in like this crawl space area, and someone decided to like take a lighter to the teddy bear to get a quote unquote reaction.
Yeah, that's just wrong. There's no reason for doing stuff like that. That's just abusing the location, and those people like that should just be gone. And I ain't allowed to investigate locations anymore.
Like, just be respectful. That's the main thing. As long as you're respectful, you're probably going to get a better reaction.
Yep, I agree. You be respectful, and sometimes just sitting back, enjoying the day, enjoying your friends, talking to your friends, that brings out, I think, sometimes spirits in the building, even more than asking the typical questions. If you're just sitting around almost like ignoring them, I think there's a better chance of getting responses.
But yeah, it's messed up. If I'm going to find a doll, it might not be good, but I'm going to find it.
It'll be great, I'm sure.
If anything, I know they have like this... I know that I have this one, it was like a porcelain doll that I had, and I was terrified of it as a kid. Because it was like in the corner of my room, and it would just stare. Creep me out. I might just bring that one down.
So you're bringing one down that you don't like that gives it stares at you?
No, like, one day I literally just chucked it in my parents' closet. That's how bad it scared me.
Oh, no. That's not good.
And I got like horrible vibes off it, so I was like, no, you're done. You're done. And the thing is, it's not even like, I don't even think it was like bad, because the only thing that I know is that the dress on it, someone from my family made it, like just the dress, and it was like crocheted. And that's why my mom would never let me get rid of it. But yeah.
You'll have to come back down and bring the doll.
Gonna have to, go deep into the closet to actually find it. Man, it's probably gone by now.
Yeah, it's in the street of living in your closet. It's probably left.
All I can imagine is a Chucky movie, and it just opening the closet, just walking out of the house, you know what? I'm not appreciated. I'm leaving. I'm finding another family. How disrespectful.
As long as it doesn't stab you on the way out, you're okay.
I could just imagine it pulling out a little phone and just leaving a 1-star review on Yelp. This was the worst family I've ever had. Don't come here.
That's right, yeah. Some of all the doll friends stay away from your place.
They sat me in the corner for 5 years and just chucked me in a closet one day. How rude.
Either that or you'll bring all his little doll friends back and harass you.
No, the thing is, I still remember, like, nightmares I've had about that doll. Because I used to have nightmares.
Oh,
Like, that's how bad it creeped me out.
that's not good.
Yeah, I'm glad that I haven't looked at it in, like, 10 years. It's creepy, guys. It's creepy.
It sounds like that.
Uh-huh. And then, like, you know the ones that, like, when you tilt it back, it, like, closes their eyes?
Yeah, I've got a couple of old dolls that I keep around. I've kind of collected a lot of weird dolls and stuff like that. And I've got one that's called Baby Secret, and it whispers things to you. And it's pretty creepy. It starts talking to you.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Luckily for me, the one that I had did not talk. If it talked, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I've got a couple of dolls from that are like replicas of a talking Tina from from the old movies, everything, Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of novelty items just to have, but that's a pretty creepy episode. With talking about dolls and how dolls will affect people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, have the spirits at Ashmore, like, ever interacted with one? Or do they kind of just leave them be? Other than the one that, Elsie? I can't pronounce names. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. And I don't know that they've actually had anybody that a lot of times things happen there that people don't tell me about. They don't live on location like some owners do. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I've had people that tell me different things that they've had experiences with as far as like bringing things in. And I know there was a girl that one night playing a cello, and they had some like little children's baby blocks, the building blocks that fell off the piano that was sitting there. They had them stacked up on the piano, and they got knocked off.
Wow. It's kind of cool, like, how they correlated.
So, yeah, it's always a good idea to try different things. Try playing music, or we've had times where people have done some singing in there. They sang a lot of, like, children's nursery rhymes or songs from Sunday school, and they've had experiences and they've heard voices singing with them.
That's fun.
Yeah, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
With your best game, try stuff out of the box.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, our time's almost over, so once again, would you like to shout out where people can find you at and everything?
Sure. Yep, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just Robbin Terry, that's 2 B's. Ashmore States, ashmorestates.net, or check out our Facebook page, which is under Ashmore States, or with the Mystery Machine, it's under our Facebook page is Original Mystery Machine, or our website's originalmysterymachine.com, and we're located there. So I really appreciate you having me on tonight. It's been fun. And hopefully get to see you again here sometime real soon.
Yeah. If anything, I want to go down to Ashmore again.
You should do that. You have to come back down sometime and see what's going on.
You heard it, father. Now you've got to take me. There's no backing out now.
Yeah, we'll get you to come down some. You've been there today, but we'll have you come down some night also.
Okay. I'm down.
Or if you come down early in the afternoon and spend some time in the building by yourself during the day, and then in the evening, see what it's like inside for you also.
Yeah. That sounds really fun, actually. I would do that.
Yeah. Check it out. Do you think? See how the building changes. A lot of people think it changes a lot from the daytime to the nighttime.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm starting to see the shadow man right in the corner, telling me that our time is almost over. I'd really like to thank you for being on Spoopy Talk tonight.
Yeah. And once again, I appreciate the good times, and Matt said as always, you're always welcome. We have a good time. I enjoy being around you, even if you don't smile all the time. But sometimes you get that little quirky smile from you as well.
Why do you always have to bring up the smile?
Because you always don't.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
all right.
Daniel even mentioned it.
Yeah, I get it. I don't smile that much. I get it, guys. Call me out. Go ahead.
We will. We'll force you into it.
Just for that, I'm not smiling anymore.
Right. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. And to all my fans, my next show will be December 5th, and I'll be having Mr. Mike Couch with Lost Limbs Foundation. Make sure if you're not following me, give me a follow at Madison Paranormal Investigation on Facebook and Maddie_Paranormal_Investigation on Instagram. So for tonight, peace, love, and happiness, and most of all, stay spoopy, everyone.